Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Stu Gregory. I'm president of the Board of Directors for the Manatee Community Foundation, and I'd like to welcome you to the 6th Annual Spirit of Manatee Awards. At this time, I'd like to ask for a brief moment of silence for each of us to offer our thanks, not only to the wonderful generosity of those being honored today, but thanks for the meals, the many blessings we're about to receive, and in particular, I'm sure everybody has read in the paper the unfortunate occurrence to Sister Nora today, and if you would remember her as well. Thank you. Everyone, please go ahead and begin enjoying your lunch, and we'll continue with the program as you're eating. The question sometimes is why an event like this is important. And those of you who have lived in this community for a long time know that it is a point of pride to honor. Hello? Am I not being heard out there? You're eating too fast. Those of you who have lived in this community for a long time know that it is a point of pride to honor legacies of those who have contributed so much to make our community special and to make Manatee community home. Through the past 6 years, we have honored young people for building their own legacies, individuals and organizations in the prime of making a difference in this community, and adults celebrating a lifetime of giving. And this year is no exception. One truth stands out, that we can never say thank you enough for what these individuals and organizations have done for our Manatee County home. We honor them, and we are all the better for their support. Now I'd like to recognize our Manatee Community Foundation Board of Directors, the Advisory Board, and members of the Lakewood Ranch Advisory Board members. Would you please stand? Thank you. This is a group of citizens who have built and continue to build philanthropy in our community. Thank you so much for your continued leadership. Among our special guests here today are Mr. Stuart Roth, recipient of the Humanitarian of the Year Award, presented by the Lakewood Ranch Community Fund. Stuart, would you please stand? Special friends from the foundation world, if you would please stand as your name is called, and we'll hold our applause to the end. Deborah Jacobs, President and CEO of the Patterson Foundation, and representing our partner foundation and Community Foundation of Sarasota County, our CFO, Mark Ryder, and Tom Waters, Vice President of Charitable Planning. And thank you for joining us today. I'd also like to recognize and thank our selection committee for the Spirit of Manatee Awards. If you would please stand. Rose Carlson, Sarah Baden, Greg Porges. Thank you. And finally, I would like to thank our sponsors of the Spirit of Manatee Awards for this year. Our primary sponsor is Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, and our media sponsors are the Bradenton Herald, Bright House Network, and METV. We also appreciate the support of all of the table and coat table sponsors that have made this event also possible. We appreciate your being here, and at this time I would like to introduce our Executive Director, Marilyn Howard.
Well, this is just one of my very favorite days of the year, and thank you all for being here. And if you can't tell by the number of thank yous that you've already heard today, thanks to you is the theme of our Spirit Awards luncheon this year. And thanks to many of you, the Manatee Community Foundation had a wonderful year. Last year, contributions to the Manatee Community Foundation exceeded $4.5 million. Over $1 million in grants were awarded, which impacted over 80 of our local nonprofit organizations. $35,000 in scholarships were awarded to high school students and adult learners for college and technical school. And as of today, the assets of your local community foundation have grown to over $21 million. So thanks to you. Thanks to individuals just like you, legacies are being created in Manatee County all the time. I want to tell you a story about Jean and Bonnie Hull. Jean and Bonnie Hull were one of the first donors of the Manatee Community Foundation. I can still remember Jean coming in the door at the office and sitting down in front of me and telling me how he wanted to create a fund that would give people a hand up, not a hand out. He said, "Marilyn, I want to help people pull themselves up by their bootstraps." And I think if he could have called his fund the Bootstrap Fund, that's what it would have been called. But Bonnie had another, a more practical thought. And so it became the Jean and Bonnie Hull Fund. Well, following Jean's wishes, the grants from the fund supported human services. And the grants went out to our local organizations such as Meals on Wheels and Our Daily Bread and Salvation Army. Well, several years ago, Jean passed away. And when it was time for the grants to be distributed from their fund, I contacted Bonnie and I said, "Bonnie, what do you want to do?" And she looked at me and she said, "Marilyn, I always wanted to support the arts." Does that sound familiar to any of you married folks out there? So from then on, following Bonnie's wishes, we sent grants to our local arts organizations, Art Center Manatee, Manatee Players, and a lot of children's arts programs. Sadly, just a few weeks ago, Bonnie herself passed away. And the legacy that Jean and she wanted to create is coming to fruition, with almost $500,000 expanding the size of their fund. And yes, it will support human services, and yes, it will support the arts, but primarily it will support the needs here in Manatee County. I encourage all of you to join us and create a legacy for this community. Make a difference today, make a difference for good and forever. Well, putting this event on is no easy feat, and we have a wonderful steering committee that works very hard through the rest of the year to get everything together. So, ladies, if you would stand, Ashley Brown, Dee Dee Hager, Tara Donovan, Joan McCaw, Kristen Thyssen, Bobby Larson, Ashley Kness, Caroline Tanner, Lori Johnson, Tracy Vandernick, and our media representatives Jill McGarry and Amy Vandell. It was wonderful working with you. And thank you all. Our glass artist is here, Darlene Johnson, who created the really spectacular glass plate for our Spirit Award this year. Darlene, would you just stand and give a wave? Thank you. Okay, I know now that what you've all been waiting for is the information about the centerpieces on the table. For the 6th year in a row, we have the Manatee River Garden Club to thank for these beautiful, beautiful arrangements. And the flowers were donated again by the Preston family, the Manatee Fruit Company, and Cortez Floral. So, for your table conversation this year, I want you to look at everybody's name badges, count the letters on the first and the last name, and whatever person has the most letters in their name gets to take the centerpieces home. And this may take you the whole meal to figure that out. I'd like to invite John Vita to come to the podium. John, our premier sponsor for this event is Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, and John Vita is here, and we want to thank him very, very much for their premier sponsorship. It makes Spirit of Manatee possible.
Good afternoon, everybody. It gives me great pleasure to be here today. You probably have noticed in your program guides for today that Dave Bassett was supposed to do that, and by now you've noticed that I'm not him, so I'm taller. He'd be about like down here on the podium. But unfortunately, on a serious note, Dave's mom passed last night, and he is with his family right now and couldn't make it today. But I know that Dave really loves this event. This is, and I think as all of our team at the Bassett Vita Vining Herman Group here at Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, that's a mouthful, really do enjoy being at this event and really do like being a part of this, because it celebrates really volunteerism in our community. And I look around the room and I always really enjoy coming to these events and seeing the people that come to celebrate these events, because it is the people that really do the work and do the good things around our community that make our community such a better place than it would be without everybody in this room. So congratulations today to our honorees that are going to come up here, and you're going to hear some wonderful, wonderful, inspiring stories about these people. And congratulations to those that have been honored in the past, because you inspire me to go out and make our community a better place. And thank you to you all for being here this afternoon. I know that you're going to enjoy hearing more about our community and this event today. So enjoy your lunch, and thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure for me to be back up on the podium again in this setting with all of you, recognizing people that do so much for our community. My name is Ed Childs. I'm proud to be a member of the Board of Directors of the Manatee Community Foundation, and I am your host today for the awards portion of this program. Before we get started with the Spirit Awards, I'd like to welcome back several of our previous year's honorees. Honorees, as I call your names, please stand and please hold your applause until all the honorees are up. Our previous Lifetime Spirit honorees: Jean and Ann Beckstein, Stuart Gregory, Senator Ed Price, and Pat Glass. Former winners of the Leadership Spirit Awards, Paul Henley and Ursula Heitman, Joanne Duke, and Marianne Turner. Our Volunteer Spirit Award winners, Debbie and Steve Tapp, Mr. John Horn, Trudy Moon, and Ed and Joanne Dick. And our Young Spirit Award winner, this is a legacy honoree in the spirit of her folks, Jenna Turner. It's a privilege to present a new award this year, the Collaborative Spirit Award. It's a special achievement award presented this year to an individual who epitomizes the definition of collaboration: to work jointly, willingly assist, and cooperate with independent agencies, those agencies being all of the nonprofit organizations in Manatee County. Our Collaborative Spirit Awardee was nominated by the Women's Resource Center of Manatee and co-nominated by United Way of Manatee County. Let's watch the video.
Tell me why you chose to nominate Charles and METV for a Spirit of Manatee Award.
Well, I think the whole premise of the Spirit of Manatee Awards is to shed light on people in the community and companies in the community that are giving back either with their time, talent, or treasure. And I think Charles and Manatee Educational TV certainly fit the mold of really being a part of the community. The Collaborative Spirit Award, which is something kind of special for Charles and METV, is we've all been talking about how we can work together, either from a nonprofit standpoint, companies working together, because all of our resources are certainly limited now, and we need to make the most of what we have. And I think Charles and METV certainly are an embodiment of the collaborative spirit in our community.
And is there anything in particular, any one experience that you could say really illustrates Charles and METV's commitment to the community?
I don't think we could limit it to one. I don't think there's a nonprofit that hasn't done a 30-second PSA with METV. So from the 30-second PSAs to the full-length award-winning documentaries that he's done, he's interested in telling the stories of the organizations and the people in our community. I think it's fair to say that, in a sense, Charles and METV are the historians of Manatee County and what's going on right now. And I think they make up a big part of the fabric of our community. So I don't think we can limit it to just one particular occasion.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think he does all this, or Charles and METV? Why do you think that they take all of this on?
I'm still going with fame and fortune for Charles. I think he loves what he does. I think he enjoys the filmmaking piece, and I think that telling the stories of the community and bringing to light issues such as jobless, the jobless rate, unemployment rate, the food bank, the teenage pregnancy, telling the story of the documentary that he was a producer in that is telling a story of the history of Manatee County and something that's important to this community. So I really think it's his love of filmmaking along with wanting to be a part of telling the stories of the people of Manatee County.
Thank you for the many public service announcements.
Thank you for the programs you produce.
Thank you for your support of all the Manatee County nonprofits.
Charles, you make us all look good.
Thank you, Charles and METV.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to ask the man who is always behind the camera to today step in front of the camera and to accept this Collaborative Spirit Award and to be honored by his community that he does so much for. Please welcome Charles Clapsaddle, Station Manager, METV.
Well, Marilyn said we're on a time, so I just want to take a few moments to thank a lot of people here, because I can only accept this award in the spirit that what it was given, and that's collaboratively. And I must recognize the METV crew who is up here, so please give them a round of applause. I can say without reservation that our staff, Chris and Phil and Mike and Richard and John and Steve and Carrie, these are the best people that we have in this community that do endless hours of work to make everyone's story come alive. And I owe them a debt of gratitude. But I also accept this award on the behalf of our METV Board of Directors, whose vision, whose leadership has created a mandate for METV so that we can pursue our opportunities to create programming that serves the interests of Manatee County. And to all of our board members, that many that are here today, Sean and Daisy and Judy and Jim, thank you for your leadership in creating METV. But METV is made up of community partners, and our community partners are the backbone of METV. Partners like the State College of Florida, partners like the University of South Florida, partners like Len Sorotsky, who's dedicated the last 6 years of his life to creating programs about the American veterans. Partners like Jack Jawitz and Pat Glass, whose dedication to creating programs about health and community issues have illuminated things that we can learn from. These are the partners that make community television what it is. But we have other partners as well. People like Judge Durand Adams, whose attention to detail, whose analytical mind and creative sense have lent itself to creating programs that have lasting value, programs like Through the Tunnel, which makes a really great impact on our community. And finally, I just want to say that METV is very proud that we can weave together all of these many programs into the fabric which I consider the collective community spirit. And for that, we want to thank everyone for helping us help you. And finally, I want to recognize my family, my sister Rosalind and her husband Bill, and my mom Evelyn, who came all the way from Miami, and of course, my lovely wife Sue, who is now and will always be my inspiration. Thank you, and thank you for this award.
Next is the Young Spirit Award. This award is presented to a young person, group, or organization under the age of 21 who has demonstrated an exceptional commitment to the charitable community by direct financial support, who has contributed time and energy to a fundraising effort, and who, by their example, has encouraged and motivated others, young and old, to make their own contributions to a charitable cause in our community. Our Young Spirit honoree is nominated by the Manatee Sunrise Kiwanis Club. Please roll the tape.
If you could tell us one experience from both of you of why the organization decided to nominate Matthew for this fine award.
Actually, the Manatee Sunrise Kiwanis Club nominated Matthew, but they asked me to speak about him because I have worked with him very closely as a Key Club Lieutenant Governor. Matthew exhibited focus, dedication, and intelligence of a young person much older than he was. An example of that is a Chow Now program, which is children hungry on weekends, not on my watch. Even though it started at Manatee High School, Matthew took it upon himself to spread this throughout Manatee County. And to me, that was one of the main things that he did while I worked with him.
And Matthew and I work together on the Walk for Life, which Manatee Glens sponsors, and it's suicide prevention. I met him as Lieutenant Governor, and as a Lieutenant Governor for Key Club, you are this person that kind of gets everybody together. You round up all the other Key Clubs, and he just did a magnificent job on doing that, getting people together. He has like a type of enthusiasm that's very catching, and he really wants to make a difference. So I first worked with him 2 years ago on that, and then he came back again and worked again on Walk for Life last year.
Well, he really sounds like an amazing young man. Now, how do you feel he has made an impact in our community here in Manatee County?
Well, with Manatee Glens and the Walk for Life, he continues to email me even when we aren't meeting yet, asking how he can get involved. Last year he wasn't Lieutenant Governor, but he was with Southeast High School. When I came to speak, he just got up and spoke about Walk for Life, wanted to get more kids involved. At the actual event, he took charge. Wasn't really even his duty to do that, but he was right by my side. Anything I needed, he was going to get done. He got kids involved. It was just, it was great to have him there. It's like someone there that you know and you can trust that they're going to help you do what needs to get done. And I agree, it's at such a different level of a teenager would normally have. He just has that insight that others might not, have it of his age. So it was very nice to see that.
One of the things that Matthew did was he ran for governor of the Florida district of Key Club, and his reason for doing that was because he wanted to make a difference. Matthew never did anything for his own accolades or glory or self. He did everything in a selfless manner, which I'm sure you know that. And Matthew is the type of individual who gives and does for someone else all the time.
So what motivates Matthew to give?
I think it's compassion. I think we don't see that a lot in teenagers these days, but he's very compassionate. He told me once that, if he feels a cause touches him, he wants to do everything he can to make sure it gets out to the community, that people know about it, and that people support it. So I think that there's key things that have been going on in the community, and if he feels that it touches him, he has that compassion, he wants to be involved.
And Mary?
Yes, Matthew sees a need and he fills it. As a matter of fact, Matthew would literally give you the shirt off his back if he thought that you needed it more than he did. His faith in God and his belief that he needs to fix everything. Matthew just is that type of individual where he sees the need, he gets in there and does what he can to fix it, to make it better.
I agree.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much.
Ran for governor. How about that? Please join me in welcoming the recipient of the Young Spirit Award, Matthew J. Davis. Step right over here and we'll take a picture.
I'd like, first of all, to thank the Manatee Community Foundation and all of you for showing up and, by being here, supporting philanthropic efforts in our community. And I'd like to thank the Manatee Sunrise Kiwanis Club, specifically Mrs. Hildebrandt, for my nomination. And thank you, Mr. Covey, Mrs. Covey, Mr. Hildebrandt, and my parents for showing up. But, well, most importantly, I'd like to thank my mother and my father, who have both inspired and challenged me to be the person that I am today. A person had a choice to take the easy way or the hard way. He chose the hard way and succeeded. This short and simple story defines the last 200,000 years of human existence. From the dawn of civilization on the slopes of Mesopotamia to the golden age of the Renaissance, up until mankind broke the boundaries of space. Our history has been marked by people who challenged societal norms, took the path that everyone warned wasn't easy, and surpassed everyone's expectations. Our ancestors look down upon us now, and our descendants await anxiously, as we face decisions that we have never been faced before in the history of human life and will inexplicably alter the fate of our world. They are daunting in size, affecting other life, our species, and ultimately our world. But I have no doubts that we will face these issues as we always have, with a firm resolve to test the barriers of understanding, a determination to push the limits of the human mind, and a will to work harder than we have ever worked before to make the world a better place. The amazing thing about the human race is that we endure. We never come up to a problem in our existence, simply determine that it is impossible to solve and give up. We do the exact opposite. We face this problem and determine that with hard work, dedication, and a firm resolve in a better tomorrow, we will solve this problem no matter what the cost. The history of mankind is one of turmoil, struggle, and triumph. And through every obstacle, there is one constant: we prevail. 40 years ago, President John F. Kennedy stood before Congress and stated that by the decade was out, we would land a man on the moon, admitting that it would be the hardest and most expensive endeavor ever undertaken by mankind. He stated that we would do it, not because it was easy, but because it was hard. 8 years later, on July 20th, 1969, we took one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. We all face a choice. We can choose to take the easy way or the hard way. The distinguished person will choose the hard way, and they will succeed. The question is, which path will you choose? Thank you.
Well done, Matthew. Well done, Matthew. The next award is the Community Spirit Award. This award is presented to a grant-making foundation, corporation, business, or service organization which demonstrates outstanding commitment to the charitable community through direct financial support and through its leadership and motivation of others to participate and advance the philanthropy of Manatee County. Our Community Spirit honoree is nominated by the American Red Cross Manatee County Chapter. Let's watch the video.
Bobby, tell us one example in particular that you've had with Schrader Manatee Ranch that led you to nominate them for this award.
Sure, Tara. It's actually because of Schrader Manatee Ranch that the American Red Cross has a strong presence as well as a physical location in East Manatee County. Our Mid-County Service Center is one of many organizations constructed on land donated by Schrader Manatee Ranch. And not only did they donate the land, but executives from their organization played a strong role in raising the funds for the project. Schrader Manatee Ranch continues to be a strong financial supporter to not only national disaster relief operations for Red Cross, but to both our Manatee and Southwest Florida chapters. And again, we are only one of many organizations to have benefited from this company's leadership and support.
How do you feel Schrader Manatee has made an impact in our community through the work with Red Cross?
Well, the addition of our Mid-County Service Center in Lakewood Ranch is truly a huge asset to our community in times of disaster. It enabled our Red Cross chapter to improve response time to the residents of East County following house fires and other disasters. It also provides a secondary operations center for disaster response. And we've been able to increase our volunteer base and outreach for life-saving health and safety training, such as CPR and first aid. In short, Red Cross is better able to help people prevent, prepare for, and respond to emergencies.
That's really wonderful. Now, what do you think motivates them to give?
Well, you know, contrary to what people say, all developers are not heartless and mean. And, you know, Lakewood Ranch was created as a community where people could live, work, and play. In fact, many of those who are employed with or do business with Schrader Manatee Ranch actually call the ranch home. SMR has invested in themselves and the community by supporting programs and organizations that enhance educational opportunities, youth activities, programs and care for the elderly, health, libraries, cultural life, and the environment. Thank you, Schrader Manatee Ranch. You are truly a deserving recipient of the Community Spirit Award.
2011 Community Spirit Award is presented to Schrader Manatee Ranch, Inc. Accepting for the ranch is Mr. Brian Kennelly, President of Lakewood Ranch Commercial Realty.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate being here today. Marilyn, I will be brief. I apologize for not having prepared comments. But on behalf of Schrader Manatee Ranch and Rex Jensen, our CEO, we're certainly honored to be here as a recipient today. As Bobby said, I will reaffirm, developers are not heartless, land-raping people. Schrader Manatee Ranch is committed to building a community. That is the guiding concept behind the ranch. And as Bobby mentioned, it's more than just houses. There's jobs, there's businesses, there's recreational opportunities and the like. So I really do believe that the community can rise up and be greater. Thank you to the Manatee Community Foundation, and certainly feel blessed myself to work for a company such as Schrader Manatee Ranch. They commit countless man hours throughout our company, allowing us employees to volunteer on boards, committees, event planning, and the like. So again, thank you for your participation today. Good afternoon.
The Volunteer Spirit Award is presented to an individual or couple who are volunteer fundraisers that demonstrate exceptional leadership skills in coordinating, recruiting, and motivating others to make financial contributions, to contribute his or her or their time towards the success of fundraising events, who directly contributes his or her own financial support, and by example encourages others to assume roles of responsibility in the charitable community. The 2011 Volunteer Spirit honorees are nominated by the United Way of Manatee County. Let's see what they have to say.
So Wendy, can you tell me if there's any one experience in particular that led United Way to nominate John and Marianne Moyer for the Volunteer Spirit Award?
Well, it's difficult to pick just one example of why the Moyers are so deserving of the award. Marianne has made our Women's Leadership Initiative what it is today. Since 2004, the organization has given more than $50,000 to youth-based programs in Manatee County. Marianne was the inaugural chair and held that seat for the following 5 years. In that role, she inspired women to join forces to make really a true difference in the lives of our children. One of Marianne's fondest experiences with United Way and Women's Leadership is the annual Holiday with the Heart celebration. It's an event they do every year, and it's with Just for Girls after-school program. Each year she's there working side by side with Santa Claus, making sure each and every little girl feels special. You know, she hugs each little girl knowing full well that that could possibly be the only hug they get that day.
That's really a wonderful outreach story. Now, are there other ways that you feel that John and Marianne really make a difference in the community?
Definitely. John and Marianne don't just give, they actually inspire others to give of their time and their talent and their treasure. And in working with the Moyers at United Way, we found their sense of community and spirit for giving is present in their everyday life. One example of their role is in our allocations process. They're both panel members on our Community Investment Committee. They work tirelessly to ensure that donor dollars being distributed through United Way allocations process is distributed in the most effective and efficient manner throughout our community.
So how did they really get started in giving with United Way?
Well, John and Marianne are originally from Maryland, and they decided to spend their retirement here in a little piece of paradise that we all call Manatee County. And they quickly learned that Our community was rich in culture and philanthropy, and neither one of them were satisfied with just sitting back, playing golf, being a beach bum. They wanted to give back as well, and that attitude has stuck with them. The Moyers said it best themselves with a quote that we've actually recently used in our annual report. We've heard it said that in today's economy, people who formerly gave to United Way are now asking United Way for help for themselves. We're blessed to be in the opposite position. About 35 years ago, we were recipients of United Way services, and now we're in a position to give back in heartfelt gratitude. Living United for us is not just about giving money or volunteer hours, it's about advocating as well. You couldn't ask for two stronger people who are advocates in our community than Mary Ann and John. And on behalf of our board of directors and all of our staff and all of our other volunteers at United Way, we offer our congratulations. Thank you.
It's my privilege to present the Volunteer Spirit Award 2011 to Mary Ann and John Moyer.
John and I would like to thank the United Way for nominating us, for the selection committee for selecting us, and for everything that the Manatee Community Foundation has done to celebrate the spirit of giving here in Manatee County. You know, 10 years ago when we moved to Bradenton, it was 10 years ago this week as a matter of fact, the only thing we knew was that John had broken his snow shovel and he wasn't buying another one. And we just thought we were moving here to relax and live at the beach. We didn't know anybody, we didn't belong to any organizations or clubs. We were just looking to take it easy. And then the Women's Resource Center had a wine tasting. Hey, if you know us, you know a wine tasting is a good way to get our attention. We didn't even know what the Women's Resource Center was, but we went to that event, met the people there, fell in love with what they were doing, and that just began to open all kinds of doors where John and I became involved in volunteer activities. No one big thing, but lots of little things that made us feel good about being here. We just tried to help out in little ways. And it reminds me of the story about the poor man who had to every day make a journey to the community well to get water for his family. And he had a big stick that he put across his shoulders and 2 jars. One jar was perfect and the other jar had a crack in it and it leaked. But it got there with some water in it. And one day the jar said to the man, the jar with the crack, "I'm so embarrassed that I can't do more for you. You carry me every day, and every day I only deliver part of a measure of water." The man didn't say anything until the next day as he was walking along the road with his 2 jars across the shoulders. And he said to the jar with the crack, "Do you see the beautiful flowers along your side of the road? When I first noticed your crack, I put flower seeds along the road, and every day you water those flowers. And what you've done is make the journey a little bit better for the people who pass this way." That's all John and I have tried to do. We've tried to make the journey a little bit better. Thank you for recognizing us for that, and thank you for this gorgeous award. Good day.
Congratulations. Our next award is the Leadership Spirit Award. This award is presented to an individual or couple demonstrating an active and ongoing charitable investment in the community, whose spirit of giving encourages and motivates others, and whose direct financial support has impacted one or more charitable institutions within our community. This year's Leadership Spirit honorees are nominated by the American Red Cross Manatee County Chapter. Let's watch.
why you decided to nominate them for this award.
Well, sure. Jeannie and Chuck are actually relatively new to our community, as well as their roles as fundraisers. As board chair of the Manatee chapter, Jeannie once said, "I know we need board involvement in fundraising, but if I'm not comfortable asking people for money, how can I ask others to fundraise?" The next step is, though, she said, "Help me become a fundraiser. Train me, train Chuck, train the board, and we will meet with anyone who will listen and tell the Red Cross story and make them understand no money, no mission." So we did that training. Jeannie became no stranger to the Nonprofit Resource Center. And now that she's trained, she and Chuck met with past Leadership and Volunteer Spirit Award winners for tips on fundraising, just to learn more, some mentoring. And then they were ready, and it was Jeannie's birthday. Chuck's gift to Jeannie this year was a $150,000 contribution in her honor to the Red Cross in the form of 3 challenge grants. Chuck is one who prefers to help those who help themselves, and he understands leverage. These challenge grants enabled the Red Cross to reach out to our board and the community to raise more than $500,000 during the last quarter of 2010. That's leadership.
That's really quite impressive. Now, how do you feel they have made an impact in our community through their work and with Red Cross?
Well, Jeannie and Chuck are raising awareness of the Red Cross mission each and every day. They're motivating others to get involved. And their contribution helped to break down jurisdictional boundaries, as 2 of the 3 challenge grants benefited not only our Manatee chapter, but also the Southwest Florida chapter in Sarasota and Charlotte County. As newcomers to the community, they're definitely an inspiration to others, because if they can do it, so can you.
Bobby, what motivates them to give and do so much in this community?
Well, I think it's the mission of the Red Cross that motivates the Slaters to give. Jeannie's first volunteer experience was actually working in a Red Cross shelter during hurricane season 2004 with the 4 back-to-back hurricanes. As a registered nurse, Jeannie became a direct caregiver to some of the most vulnerable in our community, the elderly, young children and infants, and others who spent time in our shelters. She saw the need and the important role the Red Cross plays in Manatee County. Thank you, Jeannie and Chuck, for all that you do for Red Cross, and congratulations on your Leadership Spirit Award. You guys are truly the best.
Please join me in welcoming the 2011 Leadership Spirit Award winners, Jeannie and Chuck Slater.
We want to thank the Manatee Community Foundation for selecting us for this wonderful award. And we want to thank the American Red Cross and Bobby Larson for nominating us. This is truly, truly an honor. Many of you probably don't know us. You're probably thinking, where these people come from? We decided after corporate America was done with us that we wanted to live in a place that had a lot of sunshine and sandy beaches. So we found Manatee County. But what we found in Manatee County is so much more than the beaches and sunshine. We found a wonderful, compassionate community that truly supports and cares about people. Many centuries ago, St. Francis of Assisi said, "Start by doing what is necessary, then do what is possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible." I want to say that again. Start by doing what is necessary, then do what is possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible. When Chuck and I decided to make our gift of the 3 challenge grants, we were hopeful that we could double our money and raise $300,000 for the Red Cross. We did this because we know our community depends upon the Red Cross to be ready at any given moment, whether it's a house fire or a major disaster. That is the necessary. Then we thought maybe, just maybe, if we all worked really hard and got more people involved, it would be possible to more than double our gift. Expanding our reach and using a team of staff and volunteers, we knocked on doors, we made phone calls, and we went viral on social media. And suddenly we were doing the impossible. Maybe not quite so suddenly, because it took a whole lot of work by so many people. It took business leaders to step up to the plate. It took individual community leaders to make major gifts. And it took a whole lot of individual donors giving $20 and $30 at a time. As Bobby said, the grand total was over $500,000. That was the impossible, and that went to our community. We're very proud to be part of this accomplishment. Most importantly, we want to thank all the people and all the parts of the community that worked so hard and brought this together for this generous gift. We're very proud to call Manatee County our home. And thank you again for this award.
The next award is the Lifetime Spirit Award. This award is presented to an individual or couple demonstrating a lifetime record of exceptional generosity in the community, whose direct financial support exemplifies outstanding charitable and civic responsibility that has significantly advanced the mission of several charitable institutions within the community, and whose leadership and example encourages and motivates others towards greater roles in philanthropy. The Lifetime Spirit Award honoree is nominated by the Foundation for Dreams. Please roll the tape.
So Walter, how do you feel that Eddie Mulak has really made an impact in our community?
Kristen, Eddie, like many people attending this luncheon today, has served on boards in this community, Boys and Girls Club, Children's Advisory Service Committee. He has done so many things, such as the campaign for sales tax for improving our district school facilities. And he has donated 1,000 hours of pro bono service in this community.
Wow, that's really remarkable. Maybe you can tell us about an experience in particular that really stands out when you think about Eddie.
The experience that stands out in my mind is what happened when Eddie and I were volunteering on the Manatee Hurricane football broadcast team with Dave Bristow. We were at Riverview High School back in the late 80s or early 90s for a game, and as we prepared for the kickoff, no Eddie. Now Eddie may be late for court, but I can assure you he's never late for a Manatee Hurricane football game. He arrived shortly after the kickoff, and he told us that he could hardly make it from the parking lot to the press box because his heart was failing him. Only when we were later told that he was headed for Shands Hospital in Gainesville, hopefully for a life-saving heart transplant, did we realize the seriousness of his condition. With the community's prayers with him, as his time came close to running out literally, a donor was found. As Eddie likes to say, he got a young heart from a young person. His prayers were answered, our prayers were answered, but while recovering at Shands, Eddie witnessed a number of children who were suffering from disabilities and in many cases isolated from the opportunities that other children of their age experienced. We had a vision, or he had a vision at that time, of a camp where these children could gather and experience these opportunities. He made a pledge at that time. In thanksgiving for what he had recovered, he would build a camp that would provide these children these special opportunities.
So it was really his health issue that motivated him to give back, you'd say?
Yes, and upon returning to Bradenton, true to his word, he initiated the Foundation for Dreams, a foundation which would lead, with the help of the community, to the construction of a very special camp out east, the Dream Oaks Camp, a beautiful facility that provides 7 cabins, a nature center, an infirmary, and a very special splash pool, And more importantly, it provides, through the counselors and families and the foundation, it provides a lot of love for these children. Over the next several years, Eddie gave tirelessly to this camp, and it was amazing to watch him work so vigorously to improve the camp and make sure that it was operating not only in the summertime, but also on special occasions during the year. But at that time, many began to question Eddie's ability to continue to carry on his dream. There was even talk of his son Jeb carrying on the dream for him. However, facing the need for replacement of 3 organs, Shands Hospital called again, and he was off to Gainesville to receive 2 kidneys and a liver transplant. Shands and Eddie, with some help from above, had teamed up for another miracle. Eddie's now back in the saddle, and Dream Oaks Camp continues to be his dream and the dreams of the young campers. Eddie is not only a miracle man, one of the few people with 4 transplants, but he also is a miracle worker.
It's a great pleasure to present the Lifetime Spirit Award to Edwin T. Mulock. Congratulations, Eddie.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Honor. I never forget. I don't know what to tell you how much this means to me. Walter forgot to tell you, though, that I'm also a notary. We had some fun, Walter and I. One night, we're getting excited during the football game, and Walter says, this is Walter Mulock. And I'm sitting over here, and so I immediately turned, I said, and this is Eddie Miller. He and I joke about that all the time. But let me say thank you so very much for this honor. I'm not much for awards. I get my thank you every day, and appreciation from many young kids who call me Mr. Eddie, who thank me. And so that's my reward, but I appreciate the honor. Walter's telling you about my transplant. A lot of people are curious about it, transplants. I spoke one time to the Boys and Girls Club, and they had a lot of little guys and girls sitting around me, and they wanted me to talk, and they wanted to hear about my heart transplant, and they couldn't believe that I had somebody's heart other than mine in my body. So I let them come up and put their hand on my chest, and it was just unbelievable to them. But it's an interesting story, and I'll tell you briefly, because it ties into this whole thing. But I went to Gainesville, and they told me I'll be there for 5 days. And at the end of the 4th day, they told me that I only had 1 day to live. And I don't give up very easy, as y'all know. And so they said, unfortunately, they couldn't put me on the transplant list because my pulmonary systems were so bad. And so the doctor came in and he said, listen, Eddie, he says, we can only give you 1 more day, but what we're going to do, we're going to probably have to put you tomorrow on the heart-lung machine, but tonight what we're going to do, we're going to give you some medication to hope we can improve your breathing, and we're going to pray. Now, you know when a doctor says they're going to pray, then we're in deep trouble. Well, Manatee County once again came through like they do with money. I had the Baptists praying for me, the Presbyterians were praying for me, the Jewish synagogue out on 75th was praying for me, churches all around the community were praying for me, and I felt it. And so the next day, the doctor came into my room, and he had this big grin on his face, and he says, I got to tell you something. He said, we don't know, but overnight, a miracle happened. He said, your system turned around completely. And he said, they could put me on the list. I'm sorry. And they could transplant me. And I'm going, wow. So the next thing I know, the phone rings, and the procurement lady on the other end says, Eddie, she says, we have a heart for you. Within 2 hours of going on the list, I got a heart. And it fit me perfectly. It fit me tissue, blood, size, everything. And on top of that, it was young. I'm young at heart. So therefore, I'm the only lawyer that can certify that he has a heart now. But, and so I got a female heart too, by the way. So then a little while longer, because of the medication I was taking, my liver went into failure. And then when your liver goes into failure, then it pulls down your other organs. So one of my kidneys started failing. So they sent me to Shands again, and I got up there, and within 2 weeks of going on the list, I got a heart. Now, I'm a blessed guy, okay? And so I got up there, and I went through that procedure. I was in the hospital 5.5 weeks, and I got a new liver, and I got a new kidney. It was a female liver and a female kidney. Now, the odds of me getting a liver and a kidney to match each other, to match me, were insurmountable. But before I went in, I asked the doctor, I said, how many of these surgeries have you done at Shands? He says, 0. I was the first person to ever have a double transplant after a heart transplant at Shands, and there's only like 3 of us in the United States. And so I'm going, wow, this is not going to be very good. This is scary. And so when I went in for my surgery, they always kid me because I'm a big Gator fan, okay? So the anesthesiologist came out and he says, Eddie, I understand you're a big Gator fan. I said, I'm a big Gator fan. My best friend played at Florida. And he says, well, don't worry. He says, you're in good hands. He said, look, we got some special anesthesia for you. And he took 2 vials out of his pocket. One was blue and one was orange. He said, but you can't wear your Gator socks in the operating room. So anyway, I got a new liver, a new kidney, a new heart, and they're all female. And so what? Well, I just want you all to know that I always put the toilet seat down, and I'm not afraid to stop and ask for directions. And despite what Lamar Matthews will tell you, I'm not on a waiting list for a brain. But I've thought about this last night and what I wanted to say to y'all, and I looked up the word philanthropic, and the bottom line of philanthropic is giving. And it's not just giving money, although the money is what makes everything go. Believe me, I had to raise a lot to get the camp going. But it's giving of yourself, too. And I wondered, where did I get this desire to want to help and do things for other people? And I just kept thinking back, and I could go back to one incident. 1960. I was president of the student council at Manatee High School, and I was sworn in. And we had a great senator here, he's here today, Senator Ed Price, who came and swore me in. And he's been my mentor ever since. So everything I learned about giving comes right from Senator Price. And I thank him. He's always been an example for me. He's always encouraged me. He's always been there. He also told me when I told him I was going to build this camp, I was losing my mind. I'd never get it done. But he did that to challenge me, because I like a challenge. But if it hadn't been for Deborah Jacobs and people like that in the Manatee Community Foundation when we needed wheelchairs and so forth, we wouldn't have the Foundation for Dreams. But the first thing I did was go out, and I got the list of every service club in Sarasota and Manatee County, and I wrote them and said I'd like to come and talk to them. I went all over the community speaking, one time after another, here and there, and I saw, particularly in Manatee County, the hearts and the giving of the people in this community. And having lived here all my life, I know the spirit that is here in Manatee County. I've lived here, I love it. That's the part I like about Manatee County. When I got out of law school, I had a chance to go to Orlando with, there's dreams about Disney World and all that. All my friends went there and became multimillionaires. And, but I wanted to come back to Braden mainly because of this community and its giving spirit that it has. And it's a great community to live in. It's a great community to raise my children in. And now I've got one that's grown, and I'm going to let him work on the Foundation for Dreams, and he's going to be in charge pretty soon. He doesn't know it yet. Jeb, he's here today. So I want to thank my board members, too, for coming here today. And I want to thank my staff, Jody and Gilda, for running the foundation. The key to being successful is just having the right people around you. But giving is the most important thing we can do in this community. And because of everything that everybody did to help me build this camp, we have had hundreds and hundreds of children go through the Dream Oaks camp. And one of the best stories about the Dream Oaks camp, which happened, by the way, I made a pledge in the beginning that nobody would be turned down to go to the camp because they didn't have money. And so people say, well, how do you do that? I said, well, we try to raise enough money. If we don't, then I get on the phone and I call the Lamar Matthews and everybody else, and I say, hey, I need money for kids, and they never turn me down. But then people, when I go to social events, they say, don't go talk to Mulock because he's going to ask you for money. So I know all about asking for money, and we have to be the right example and the leaders. And every one of you all know all about that because you've all participated, you've all helped and supported everything in this community, and particularly the Community Foundation. And when the Community Foundation first came along, I was so happy about that because I know this was going to help hundreds and hundreds of kids. But we have so many kids that have been through the camp, you wouldn't believe it. When I first decided to build the camp, I said, look, I thought in my mind, I'm in the hospital in Shands. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go out there for 2 weeks. I'm going to have about 25 kids come out there, you know, we'll roast marshmallows and have all this different kind of stuff and s'mores and everything like you're supposed to have. Little did I know. Now we have hundreds and hundreds of kids. We had a little girl one time, her grandmother died. And her mother told her that her grandmother had gone to heaven. And one of our little campers said, well, you know what? I hope that heaven is just like the Dream Oaks camp. And those are the kind of rewards I get. We had another couple one time, they had 3 children in the camp. All 3 were autistic and 1 child was Down syndrome. They were a handful. And on Friday when the kids went home, the parents came up to me with tears in their eyes and they said, we don't know how to thank you. This is the first week we've ever spent in our marriage where we could get away, since the children were born, where we could go and do things on our own and know that our kids are in great hands and that they're safe. And so the bottom line is that all stems from giving of myself, giving of staff, giving of community people that supported us from the very beginning, and all the people that have been around me for a long time giving. And so that's what we have to do, and I implore every one of you to every day try to give every way that you can because it affects so many people. And I'll leave you one thought that my mother, who recently passed away, always taught me to remember 2 words, attitude and gratitude. And I've lived that a long time. I have tried to keep a very positive and great attitude, and I'm very thankful. I have great gratitude for all the blessings that I've received, the blessings, one, of just living here in Manatee County, and the blessings of having a great organization like the Community Foundation. So let me conclude by saying thank you so very much for this honor. I'm really humbled by it. I'm with a company of people that are so more outstanding than I am, and I'm so grateful to be in that group, Stuart Gregory, Ed Price, and others. And, but I'm very humbled by this, and I appreciate y'all so very much. God bless.
I want to thank all of our sponsors, our premier sponsor, Morgan Stanley Smith Barney. I want to thank Marilyn Howard. Marilyn, thank you for letting me do this. I love doing this. I love being inspired. This is the spirit of our community. It's embodied in the past award winners and the people that we honored here today. It's embodied in a corporate citizen like Schrader Manatee that gives so much back to our community. Someone like Charles Clapsaddle and his great organization that collaborates with so many not-for-profit organizations and tells so many important stories in our community. It's embodied in 2 couples who move here and want to be a part of this community and understand the importance of giving and demonstrate that in such a tangible way and inspire all of us. It's embodied in a young man who certainly is a leader now and his peers and a future leader for our community, and someone who understands the importance of giving at a very young age. And it's certainly embodied in a fine lawyer who's understands the gifts and who has multiplied those gifts in so many ways. And so we are here 4, 5, 6 years, whatever this has been, and a dozen years into the Manatee Community Foundation. A dozen years where we have grown to $20 million. Last year we were $15 million. That's incredible growth. We'd love to have that in our businesses and any organization that we're a part of. And that's the spirit of this community. That's what makes us a place that is so special and that we love to be involved in and create such special moments like we saw today. That's what the Manatee Community Foundation is here for. We are the organization that will assist you in leaving your philanthropic legacy to this county and being able to give back to the MCF Board of Directors and the MCF staff. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed this afternoon.